Thank you. I will recognize myself for 5 minutes again. Mr. Galvin, I want to make sure we get your parking validated for your participation today, so I got to ask you a question. OIT has gone through reorganizations in the past. Can you tell me what's different about this current reorganization and what lessons learned we've had that we can apply to this process that we're in now?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Chair. I think the big game changer for this one is the singular focus that the administration has put on standardization and priority on veteran outcome. When you had your hearing on the software asset management, for instance, we're having conversations now that it's on the how, not the why. We're all in sync with what our priorities are. So saving, duplication, enabling functions for software, for instance, that don't duplicate but solve the requirement at hand. I think that's the big game changer, I think, or change in this organizational change than in the past. I've been through many of them. Each one is built upon each other. I'd like to say that principles have staying powers. There's priorities that change, but principles of operation, especially in IT, have staying power. And we still have the principle of cybersecurity, the protection of veteran data, the service performance, ensuring we're accountable for system reliability and accountability. I think to speak to some of the other conversation is there's an excitement building now to deliver, real outcomes, EHRM acceleration. I mean, we're chomping at the bit to show that, in your area in Michigan, we're ready to go. Our 4 sites in Michigan are already prepared in terms of their heavy lift IT infrastructure. We have a complete dashboard that shows every site across the VA in terms of their readiness status. In fact, all 13 sites in the next year, in FY26, are ready in those 4 key areas of devices, network infrastructure, wireless. All of that is done already. In fact, next year we'll be working on FY27, thanks to Dr. Puetz here and keeping a steady flow of the infrastructure readiness program and the funding that we have for technical debt.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I understood some of what you said, so that was helpful. To me, it feels like in the past, some of what we were doing with technology was like layering on, stacking up. Instead of replacing systems with one another, we were kind of adding to and layering up and up and up. And next thing you know, we've got so many systems, there's not as many unique users using each one of them, but nobody wants to give up the legacy model of whatever they had that they were used to using, instead of kind of learning along the way and upgrading into what they were more familiar with. I remember when one of the legacy Windows versions finally stopped being supported, and people were struggling to move up to whatever the next or newer generation of that was. Sometimes that's necessary, and I feel like with technology we can't move at the pace of the slowest participant. We have to move at the pace that is necessary to move the organization along, and I think that having that in mind is important. I've heard the Secretary speak a number of times at some of his observations, and how when he walked in the door on his first day, he couldn't even know how many people were in the department and where they were all assigned, because you had different payroll systems and different human resources management systems and all these other things that are not delivering care and benefits to veterans. They are simply the running the system itself. And they are kind of a drag, if you will, on the efficiency of the overall system if we have duplicative processes and more than one system in place doing the same thing, or this, part of the department over here is using this thing, but this department's using that. They do the same, or they have the same purpose, but they're now duplicative in nature, and then you've got to have IT resources designed to cover both of those, when instead you could have one that covers the total system. So I think that there's a lot there that can be done better. I hope that we all recognize that, especially when it relates to IT. Dr. Puetz, can you tell us, from your perspective, how important is it from a resource allocation perspective to have an efficiently organized workforce specifically around these IT projects, so that people kind of know their mission and they have the site focus that they need?
Thank you for the question, Chairman. When we talk about resources, people, and money, it's only as effective as we put against the actions that drive outcomes. So it is very important to answer your question that we have that aligned. Like we talked about in the beginning, it's not about bigger budgets, it's about smarter budgets. And so that's where that alignment occurs. Do you have the traceability from the dollars that were requested through the activities that they're invested in to ultimately what is produced for the veteran at the end of the day? It's about setting controls, working with IG to have a control environment to make sure that the plan is enacted as placed by the department.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I am out of time on this round of questions, so I will yield to Ranking Member Bazinski for 5 minutes.